Solving equations by cross-multiplying. This is a review of part 3. In today's lesson, students will review how to solve multi-step equations with a fraction by using cross-multiplication. By using what? Cross-multiplication. Very good. So we're reviewing how to solve multi-step equations. Remember, multi-step means more than one. What does it mean? More than one, okay? And all of these equations are going to have a fraction. What are they going to have? Make it with your arms. A fraction, right? Because they have a fraction bar. And on top of the fraction is going to be the letter, what variables at the top? The variable, the letter x. Okay, so let's write this down. It says when solving equations with a fraction, okay? We have this equation down here. Okay, what's the fraction in this equation? What's the fraction? Is it x divided by -2? Is that the fraction? Yes. So remember, what are you going to do first? Read this with me. Read it with me. It says first, circle the fraction and make a t. You know what? I didn't hear you guys. You need to say it a little bit louder. Here we go. It says first, circle the fraction and make a t. Okay, I'm going to do that. You ready? Here we go. The fraction is x divided by -2, right? Okay. The way we have to solve this equation is we have to make a t. Okay, let's make a t. You make a t to separate both sides of the equation. Okay, you want to separate both sides. Okay, now we can get to step number 2. It says, read it with me, it says next, do the opposite on both sides. Okay, so if you look at the number that is next to what you circled, I'm going to ask you, what is the opposite of +4? What's the opposite of +4? It's -4. So you're going to do that to both sides. So really you're subtracting 4 from both sides. All right. Now we're going to do the operations on both sides. A +4 and a -4 make 0. Okay? Now what you want to do is you want to bring down the fraction, which is x divided by a -2. Okay? Write equals on that t. And now we have a -4 and a -4 and a -5. Okay. So we're going to do the operations with adding integers. This is adding integers. Why is that? Doesn't it look like subtraction? Okay, so do these integers have the same sign or different signs? What kind of signs? Same signs or different signs? Aren't they both negative? Yes. So we say, ready? Ready? We say, same signs, add and keep. Stop. Say it again. Same signs, add and keep. Okay, so they both have negatives, right? So we're going to add these together. We have a -5 plus -4 more. So we're going to keep that negative and we're going to add 5 plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Very good. Okay. So I want you over here to rewrite the fraction, which is x divided by -2, and now it equals a -9. All right? You following me? Yes. Okay. If you have a fraction on the left, you need a fraction on the right. Repeat after me. You need a fraction on the right. How do you make -9 a fraction? How would you make -9 a fraction? What do you put under it? You put the number 1. The number what? The number 1. Very good. When you have two equal fractions or two equal proportions, the last step is, make it with your arms, say cross multiply. Do what? Cross multiply. Do it slow. Cross multiply. Very good. Okay? So remember, x is on top, so this is very simple. When we make one wing of this butterfly, you're going to tell me what is x times 1. Remember, any number times 1 is that number multiplied by 1. So any letter times 1 is that letter multiplied by 1. What's the letter? What's the variable? It is x. Very good. Okay, now we're going to cross multiply on this side. Okay, we have a negative 9 times a negative 2. Who is going to help us? Who is this? This is Bob's cousin. That's true. Okay, what does he tell us? He tells us that a negative 2 times a negative 2 is positive. So we know the answer is going to be positive. 2 times 9, okay, or 9 times 2, 9, 18. So the answer is positive 18. Okay, go ahead and get that down. So read number 1 with me. It says x divided by 6 minus 2 equals negative 5. Okay, write that down. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. Does this equation have a fraction in it? Does it? Yes. What's the fraction? You're right. It's x divided by 6. So you're going to circle the fraction, and then you're going to make a t. You do this to separate both sides of the equation. Okay. So now we're going to look at the integer that is next to what we circled. So what number is this? It's a negative 2. What's the opposite of negative 2? It's positive 2. So you add 2 to both sides. Okay. So now let's do the operations. A negative 2 and a positive 2 make 0. Then you're going to bring down the fraction, okay? The fraction is x divided by 6. Now that is going to equal, you have a negative 5 and a positive 2. Do they have the same signs or different signs? Different signs, right? So sing the song. Say, different signs subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. Say it again. Different signs subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. Good. Okay. So again, over here on this side of the equation, you're adding integers. Okay, you added 2 to both sides. So you're not using Bob here. You're remembering the integer song. You're remembering the what? It's the integer song. Okay, so you have different signs. We're going to subtract. 5 take away 2, which is 5. Count back. 4, 3. Keep the sign of the higher number. What's the higher number? The higher number is 5. So we're going to make it a negative 3. Okay. So now you have x divided by 6 equals negative 3. You have a fraction on the left side of the equation. What do you have to do to the right side of the equation? You have to make it a fraction, right? How do you make negative 3 a fraction? What do you put under it? You put the number 1. And now you have 2 equal fractions or proportions. So now you can cross multiply. Show me. Cross multiply. Okay, that's why you put that 1 under there. So when you cross multiply, you're going to make your first wing of the butterfly and tell me what is x times 1. Any letter times 1 is that letter multiplied by 1. So don't tell me that x times 1 is 1. X times 1 is x. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and cross multiply positive 6 times a negative 3. Now we, since we're multiplying integers, are going to use Bob. We're going to say a positive 6 times a negative 3 is negative. Right. So the answer is going to be negative. And tell me, what is 6 times 3? 6, 12, 18. Right? It's negative 18. Okay. Go ahead and write that down. Read number 2 with me. It says 2 plus x divided by negative 8 equals negative 1. So the first step is to circle, what do you call this? It's called a fraction. What is the fraction? It is x divided by negative 8. Okay, so we're going to circle the fraction and draw a t. You're going to draw a t. Here we go. Look at the number that is next to what you circled. It's a positive 2. What is the opposite of positive 2? It is negative 2. So you're going to subtract 2 from both sides. Now let's do the operations. A positive 2 and a negative 2 make 0. bring down x divided by negative 8. Bring down the equal sign. Now tell me, what is negative 1 minus 2? Do these have the same signs or different signs? They have the same signs, right? So we say same signs, add and keep, stop. Same signs, add and keep. That's what that means. You're going to add these together, you're going to keep the negative. So what's 1 plus 2? 1 plus 2 is, Jordan? 3. Very good. So it's going to be a negative 3. Okay? To solve for x, because this is saying what number divided by negative 8 would give you negative 3. You have to make negative 3 a fraction. What do you put right here? You put a number 1. Now you can cross multiply. You can do what? Cross multiply. All right? So we're going to do x times 1. X times 1 is x, okay? It's just itself. Now, let's multiply these integers. We have a negative 8 times a negative 3. So we're going to use Bob and say that a negative multiplied by a negative is positive. So go ahead and circle that positive, make a positive right here. And what is 8 times 3? 8, 16, 24. It's positive 24. Very good. Okay, get this down. We are finally on our last example. Yay! Read it with me. It says x divided by negative 3 minus 5 equals a negative 13. There's a lot of negative numbers, aren't there? Okay, so we're going to solve for x. What's the fraction in this equation? What's the fraction? It is x divided by negative 3. That's right. So when you have a fraction, you're going to circle it, and you're going to make a t. Let's look at what's next to what we circled. What is this? It's a negative 5. What is the opposite of negative 5? It is positive 5. So we'll add 5 to both sides. Let's do the operations. A negative 5 and a positive 5 make 0. Okay, this is the important part. You're going to bring down x divided by negative 3, okay? You're going to bring it down. X divided by negative 3. Now it's going to equal. Let's figure this out. Negative 13 and a positive 5, okay? Do they have the same signs or different signs? Different signs! What do you do with different signs? You subtract and keep the sign of the higher number, right? So what is 13 take away 5? Remember, you can use touch math if you want. You can count back and say 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Keep the sign of the higher number, which is negative 13. So we have a negative 8. Yes? Okay. How do you solve for x? What do you do to the negative 8? What goes underneath? A 1. That's right. So you set up two equal fractions so that you can, what comes next? Cross multiply. So you can cross multiply. You have x times 1. X times 1 is, what's x times 1? Come on, people. It is x indeed. Good job. All right. And then your other wing of the butterfly is a negative 8 times a negative 3. Okay, so let's draw Bob. You have a negative 8 times a negative 3 gives you a positive. What's 8 times 3? We just did this one. Remember 8 times 3? It is 24. Positive 24, just like the last problem. All right, go ahead and get that down.